Well, hey there, Jonathan Peel. How are
Hey
you?
there, travisbaum. Doing good.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I
We
know,
are
right?
we're
There's been some things.
There's been some things like us just not doing the show. How about that for
Yeah,
things? But we're
yeah. We
here.
we we missed No Way Home,
We did miss no way. We probably should do
and we missed the Eternals. Man, we
we
really let some people down.
yes, all 10 people we let you madly down. But guys, Travis and Peel are back. We're here to talk about Doctor Strange
2022.
in the Multiverse of Madness. And folks,
Hmm.
we watched this opening night, like
Yeah,
early opening
both of
night. We
us.
did the early
Mhm.
screenings. I think
Tacos, tequila, Doctor Strange.
it was Cinco de Mayo and
It was.
Cinco de Madness, if you know what I mean.
I see what you did there.
Jonathan Peel, we just watched the movie yesterday. We have not discussed our thoughts about it. This is all fresh. What did you think about Doctor Strange Dose?
Obviously, there was for a Marvel movie, they put out a lot of stuff in the trailer. They leaked so many things to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was so much stuff that they were talking about. There were so many little nuances, details, little rabbit holes everybody was going down, like most Marvel movies, but they really gave us a lot in the trailer, so we didn't really know what to truly expect. And neither did I. Going into this movie, I was just like, man, anything can happen, literally. I did not know if they were fooling us with the trailers, but going into it, I mean, I was super excited. And they delivered on what I'm going to call a great Marvel Sam Raimi movie. Okay, following Sam Raimi since like The Evil Dead,
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. It's been he has been one of my favorite directors, and I loved everything that came out. To kind of have that. Of course, the first original Spider-Man, but besides that, Sam Raimi has always been a big part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
80s, 90s, going forward,
Yep.
and to see him come back in the style, take over a movie that was already started by another director,
Mm-hmm.
to come in, do a lot of changes, a lot of reshoots. They delivered on a very fun, exciting movie that had nice little jolts and hints of horror in there,
Mm-hmm.
nice little campy goofiness, and then of course that Marvel hard hitting action and stuff that you expect out of these movies. And of course, you had a little Steve Ditko craziness in there with Doctor Strange and that 70s aspects. They had some really great scenes. I'm not going to spoil anything right now. That's going to come later on.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, I enjoyed the movie. I had to think about it, but I'm going to discuss this in a little bit. I had to come back and think about how much I liked the movie because I left there initially going, huh,
Hmm.
that was different.
Hmm.
But then as I've thought about it over the last couple of hours, ever since, last night, get out of movie theater like 11 p.m. almost, I've now come to say, yes, I really liked the movie, and we'll discuss that further. How about you, Travis Baum? How did you enjoy Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I will immediately just jump off and say I liked it. I did really like this movie. I would probably rate it somewhere like in like the 7.5, maybe. You know what? I'll give it a little more. It's like a 7.75, somewhere around there. It doesn't like cross
Fair,
that
fair,
that
fair.
threshold of like 8 or 9. But I really, really like the movie. I like the Sam Raimi-ness of it. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of Sam Raimi isms in here, but it
Hmm.
wasn't anything from that we've seen from Spider-Man. It wasn't a little
Right.
bit of Evil Dead in there. It was a lot of Drag Me to Hell for me. If you want to be
It
honest
was.
with you, like it was
It
very
was.
Drag Me to Hell, but in the MCU, and I dug that. So I know we were going to get a lot of Raimi-isms, and we got those. Overall, like the storyline, I felt, to keep it spoiler free, like I felt it was put together really, really well. I enjoyed the fact that this was more of a sequel to WandaVision than it was a sequel to a Doctor Strange movie or
Right.
anything like
Doctor
that.
Strange was just there in the WandaVision
Yeah, yeah,
sequel.
kind of,
he
but
he was he was an integral part, of course. It is the
mhm,
Doctor Strange movie.
right. And I love the Wanda in this from start to finish. I think Elizabeth Olsen was a tour de force. She was the clear standout for
Nailed
me.
it.
I'm excited that she has like a 6 or 7 year deal that's pinned already in the books. So we're gonna get so much more of her. I'm really excited to see what they do with her next. She deserves her own movie. She deserves her own movie fucking yesterday, so let's make it happen. Like, but like acting wise, I think everybody gave a pretty solid performance. There was not one character, like in terms of their performance, where I was like, it didn't work for me. I think everybody did a really, really good job with the roles that they had. Musically, I think Danny Elfman did a great job. I
Oh, Danny.
There was, I think for the vast majority of the film, 90% of the film, I think the music was right on point, especially in those horror moments that were in that were in there. I was like really excited to. It just added to the experience for me.
Right.
There was one scene where music is kind of like the centerpiece of the action that's going on,
I know what you're talking
and
about,
I'm
obviously.
hearing a lot of people really enjoy that. I kind of couldn't stand it. I thought it was a little bit too.
We'll discuss it further.
It was a
That's
little
for
too
sure.
much for me, but yeah, we'll get into that when we talk spoilers. But overall, I'm right with you. Walking out of the theater, I was like, I don't know what to think. It was the most non-MCU movie because of the fact that like it doesn't necessarily give you a moment to breathe. And usually in long movies, that's good because you're like, man, that didn't feel like 2.5 hours. That didn't feel like 3 hours, but the movie just paid. It was a breakneck speed pace, and there was no room to breathe
It hit the ground running.
and it did hit the ground running. And where I felt that a lot of key moments in this movie would have been way more impactful if we had a little bit of extra time to breathe with certain characters. I think certain outcomes would have been like really devastating or like really exciting, and we will get to that more. But overall, I like it. I like where a lot of the characters started. I like where they ended, and interesting post-credit scenes that we're going to discuss. So
And
overall,
plenty of surprises throughout.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
few that we expected and a few you didn't.
A few we didn't. And I was, and the last thing I'll say before we get into spoilers, as much as I was unsure about how I felt about this movie walking out, and I am definitely on the more positive side, I feel like this movie is going to get better with age. I think when we see what comes, because this movie really, like, we got the start of the multiverse with, with
No Way Home and
No
Loki.
Way Home, Loki, things like that. But this is the true opening, the doors opening of the multiverse storyline and everything, and it's going to be the centerpiece of the continuation of Phase 4. And I think once we see what happens after this and going into what is clearly going to be like the next big moments, especially with Kang coming in, Ant-Man, and Kang just being a huge presence in the MCU as a whole, I think as we see the results of what happens after this, I think this movie does better with age. I think we start seeing, oh, look at all the stuff from Multiverse of Madness that eventually happens. Like Doctor Strange 2. Now, it's almost like it's going to be the Avengers Age of Ultron. Avengers Age of Ultron, when it came out, people were not very hot on it. They said it's a good movie, but it's not great. And you look back at Age of Ultron now knowing what we know, it's a much better movie. A much better movie. So
It set up a lot of things, and all those dominoes fell off of it. It's the trunk of the tree, right? And you have all these branches that are going to come off, but this was the home, and it definitely hit that MCU pace. And I know we're about to go into it, but definitely, if you have not watched the movie, go and see it. It is in theaters now. Hit that baby up in IMAX if you can. And yes, 100% great Sam Raimi MCU movie. I think we both agree on that. Welcome back to Marvel, Sam.
Welcome back, Sammy. So, like Peel said, if you have not seen this movie, it's in your best interest to watch it now and don't watch this video further. Maybe hit a like, come back and watch it later once you've seen the film, because we are going to spoil Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think it's easier for us to just kind of go through the movie. I do think it's just easier for you to like make sure we don't miss anything because there's so much that we need to hit. So we're going to go through the plot, and I'm going to use our good friend Wikipedia.org, today's sponsor, Wikipedia.org, into helping us with the plot. So starting off in the movie, America Chavez and an alternate version of Doctor Strange are chased by a demon in the space between universes while looking for
Right when it opens up.
the Book of Vishanti. Yeah, so it's an immediate one. I think this is
Crazy. Like I did not expect it.
This is
Like
the
right at the boom, you got Defender Strange sitting there with American Chavez, and you're like, oh crap, this is like getting right into it, being chased by some kind of ethereal,
right.
demon flaming monster
Yeah.
thing, and it's like, what the hell? Tentacles are
Yeah.
flying everywhere. They're screaming, running. It has that crazy, Doctor Strange, Ditko multiverse look where everything's spinning. Like it was just like,
And
okay,
it's
we're getting right into it.
Yeah, and this Strange clearly is extremely brutal. He's helping out America Chavez get the book of Ashanti and trying to help her out. But when he realizes that the easiest thing to do, the best thing to do, is to murder her for her power, he goes for it and everything like that. So we kind of get an idea that this Doctor, like Doctor Strange in other universes, can be a super brutal character, and it kind of mirrors. He talks about like your
It's
death.
logical.
Yeah, your death is logical in the grand calculus of the multiverse. He said those same things before, and
Insignificant.
yeah. So it's really interesting to see the parallels. But I never knew if I believed Doctor Strange in 616 MCU. I never knew if I believed him when he said that. But this Strange, I believed him. So Strange is eventually killed. Chavez accidentally creates a portal that transports them to Earth 616, where these universes, Doctor Strange rescues Chavez from an octopus demon chasing her by killing it with help from Wong. So we get
The Sorcerer Supreme. It is.
we get not
Custom to that.
we get not Shu McGrath in this scene. I thought this scene was great. He's not Shu McGrath because I think there's a licensing issue with the owners
Right.
of Conan the Barbarian. I think it is. They have the rights to the name Shu McGrath, so they couldn't use it. But for all intents and purposes, this is Shu McGrath.
Yeah, it's just a giant one-eyed tentacle monster.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love this fight. I loved going in from that wedding scene, kind of showing where Steven is, whether or not that he's flat out ass, and it's a common theme. Like, Strange, are you happy with the person that you are?
happy?
Who you've
All
become?
that
Are you
work
happy?
you did, everything that you've gone through.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
And we kind of just glossed over that wedding scene, but there's a lot of stuff. We discussed the blip. There's that the other doctor from Doctor Strange 1 is kind of a scumbag, but Doctor
Greatest person
Strange,
in the world, greatest hero in the world, but you still didn't get the girl.
yeah, really, really like interesting, and like
Knife in it, man. Just
he's
putting it in there.
he's constantly questioned, like he's being questioned. I'm noticing these things like WandaVision and in this scene specifically and stuff like that. So it's clear that the doctor was criticizing Doctor Strange in giving about him giving Thanos, like, did the decision you make, which is giving Thanos the time stone, did you really have to do that? Because he snapped everyone away regardless. Like, did you really have to do it? And he was like, Doctor Strange is of course like, yes, of course I did. But there was that situation, like this doctor knew what happened on a completely different planet on Titan. And then even Darcy in WandaVision knew a lot of very specific moments from Endgame. And it's like, how would you know that? Unless, like...
Well, the story came out. One of the heroes is
Did it?
Gabby.
Did it?
Just-
Did it? Like, I don't know. Like, that was weird. Like, I feel like the public knows
Peter
way...
Parker was there. He's a talkative young teen.
He is. He does spoil a lot of... that is true. I would blame Tom Holland for this one. He just came out and... ratted everyone out. I firmly believe that the general public knows way too much about the fight with Thanos. Like, it's a little too convenient for me, so it's a little bit of a gripe that I have. It's like, you shouldn't know that Doctor Strange handed over the Time Stone. That's not good PR. You're not gonna.
Well, it could have also, we're not going to answer these questions, but simplest thing is Iron Man had everything recording and it was uploaded to wherever. Shield or whoever said, "Hey, full transparency."
Defend it all you want. Defend it all you want. It's clunky.
Sokovia Accords, man. They have to. They have to have body cams. The police got to have them on now. This is what they did, right? Makes sense.
We'll see. I think
that's my theory. That's my theory.
It's a little. I think it's a little too convenient.
Sokovia Accords heroes gotta have body cams.
So this is the first time we meet America Chavez. I think that she is a really, really fun character. If I'm doing another small criticism, I feel that we don't get enough from her. We get a small little flashback into her early life, and
character development was really weak.
It was, and I think it also hurt the relationship between Strange and America Chavez. I feel like they had a really, really good moment at the very end of the movie, after we'll get to like how she develops and stuff like that, because in the beginning of the movie she doesn't know how to use her powers. It just sparks up when
Afraid.
when she's scared and stuff like that. She doesn't have the ability to control it. And her path through this movie is A, surviving, and B, learning how to develop her powers through the help of Stephen Strange and stuff like that. So, and I feel like the payoff of their relationship, since they're traveling with each other, I don't know,
It's
like
one of the gripes. It's one of the gripes. Yeah, it's okay to
yeah,
have gripes at the movie, and this is definitely one of the gripes. It's a weak character arc. They didn't develop it or flesh it out really.
yeah.
And my gripe about it is beautiful young lady. I just didn't like her face, and it has nothing to do with good looking, not good looking. I don't the way it's shaped. I don't know what it is, but I just didn't like her face.
All right, there we go.
Weird.
Interesting. All right. Very shallow opinion by Jonathan Peele, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Chavez explains that the demons are hunting her because she has the power to travel through the multiverse, and this immediately interests Wong and Steven. Also, welcome back.
Come on down to Comertage.
Like Benedict Wong, man, is just... He is MCU. He's
Sherlock Watson.
MCU. Yeah, I like that. That's a nice touch.
You see what I did there? He was Sherlock.
Yeah. He is MCU royalty. MCU royalty. And there was every single scene Wong was in this film. I was like, okay, this is where he dies. This is where he dies. Oh no, this is where he dies. I knew it. I knew at some point they were gonna.
Stephen becomes the Sorcerer Supreme again.
Exactly. Yep. I was waiting for Wong.
Giant eyeball monster. We got American Chavez. We have everything going on, right? We have the wedding scene. They have the giant monster,
right?
And we're going on, and she's being chased. We find that out, and they invite her to Comertage. Says, "Hey, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna keep you safe."
Yeah, and then the only person.
Let me go find a friend who can help me help you.
Yeah.
Let me go talk to them.
Yep. So Doctor Strange consults Wanda Maximoff, fresh off of WandaVision.
Little beautiful secluded mountainside.
Yeah.
Forest village with their apple trees.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, so serene.
Yeah, and we find out that it was all just one big nasty hex. Still doing those hexes, man. Still doing those fake worlds. That Wanda. Yeah, but something clearly is amiss because she speaks of America's name without Strange even bringing it up, and that immediately sends off the warning signals.
Red flag.
Yeah, the red flags are there. That
Get it.
Wanda is. I love that scene. I thought it was really, really good. Like anything with Elizabeth Olsen was great in this initial scene.
There was that Raimi-esque visualization there too, though, with all the gnarled trees, the darkness right in the front, and then they have that bright, dim, like blood red background that was everywhere in this like just completely desolate, witchy area, for lack of a better words. And that was when I was like, okay, yep, this is a Raimi film.
Yeah. So Wanda unveils that she has the Darkhold. What did you think about her performance from here? Because this was when I just fell in love with the very beginning of this movie. It's like all this action scenes and the breakneck pacing and stuff like that. And the one of the very few moments where we had time to breathe and just have one character talk to one character and just have some growth. I just feel like Elizabeth Olsen went from normal Wanda to, okay, you caught me. I have the Darkhold. I want to go after America. I'm the one that's been going after her. I'm going to get her, and I'm going to get my kids back because I'm going to find a universe in which they exist. So we immediately get the idea that she is the big bad, because going into this movie, you brought it up earlier too, like there was so much that we didn't know. And I was talking to Melissa going into this movie. It's like, there's so much we don't know about this movie. Like we don't know who the true villain of this movie is going to be. Like we know that Wanda is going to be some sort of antagonist, but we don't know who's behind everything. I do think that someone is still behind. Based on comic lore, there is someone behind everything, but at the end, no, it's not. It's Chthon. But at the end of the day, she is the sole threat in this movie.
I think we have to stop defending her, man. I think she's she's just messed in the head, and she always has been. We've known this. We found her. She was mentally destroyed. Her and her brother gave themselves to be tested on, had these experiments done to gain these powers that they did, right? That's not a sign of great mental health. She is the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
She is a red flag,
Yeah.
a giant, beautiful red flag wielding crazy magic and a very exponential amount of power.
Yeah.
Okay. But we know this. And in every movie, we've seen her broken and then all the tragedy she went through. And even when we broke down WandaVision, if you watch a WandaVision breakdown, go back and watch all those episodes. We've said it plenty of times. Is she the bad? Is she not the bad? We feel bad for her. But guess what? She's just wackadoo. Okay.
So
She's just crazy, and we can't keep justifying that. All right. She is the Amber Heard of the MCU. All right.
she
She is
she
dropping deuces of magic in everybody's beds right now.
so she is definitely dangerous, and there's no denying that. But there are moments where she is pure good, and we've seen it multiple times. But it's only when the Vision is in the picture, right? The Vision is her constant. It's not her children, because her children are what causes this. Well, the
Yes.
Darkhold is what causes this, but like her need for her children, her need to be a mother.
Or her need for what she envisioned having children, which was her own wants, that
Yeah.
she created children in a fake world, and then now she wants that because she
Right.
made it up in her head.
Yeah, and I think that Vision being a part of her life, like her real life, not counting Westview, because Westview Vision wasn't enough for her, and well, kind of was, but for somewhere in the middle there, like he wasn't. But overall, I think that Wanda is calmer and more subdued, and more not necessarily subdued, but is able to be in more control of herself when Vision is there as her constant.
As we're
And
seeing, and you brought it up with Doctor Strange, the theme it seems right now of Phase 4 is: Are you happy? Are you okay? All the aftermath of everything that's happened. We've seen a lot of tragedies throughout every character, everything like that. That seems to be the theme for Phase 4 is: Are you okay?
yeah,
Are you happy? Can you find happiness? And we're watching these superpowered people deal with, depression and all these other kind of, mental things that everybody goes through on a normal day basis in their normal everyday lives. And this is how they react to it.
yeah, indeed. So yeah, so she is clearly the big bad in this movie. She is powered by or like somewhat possessed, but just tainted by the Darkhold.
Darkhold, yeah.
And
Like the black little sticky fingertips.
yeah, and it shows that she's like her
Wiggly
big.
woos.
So she's happy with chasing everybody around to try to find America, and she gives multiple warnings in her great performance, just going from normal Wanda to just straight up arch and evil, like constant warnings. I
That
have
was
been
me being
reasonable.
reasonable.
Yeah, like she was just so cruel. And then she eventually attacks Camertage. I felt that was a pretty good fun time watching all those people get evaporated essentially. But she was brutal in those scenes, man.
She wiped the floor of every one of those
Everyone.
magic users there. It was ridiculous. And I definitely love once again, Sam Raimi getting that creep element coming through the reflections of everything. And when she crawled through like the drum bell or whatever, and she was coming out like the chick from The Ring. It was really awesome.
She was stuck in the crystal prison with all the spikes pointed at her, and it showed that she actually just chose to go through the spikes and like contort herself out of the thing. Like she mangled her body to get out of that. It was gnarly.
Crazy. But it looked cool as hell, and it was definitely freaky. And this is where music was very intense.
Yeah.
It was hitting all the right notes. Elfman and Raimi put that together, and that was that
Yeah.
Drag Me to Hell type deal.
Yeah.
Where it was crazy, kooky. The screenshots were flashing back and forth. Like, they did a really great job with it. A great scene. I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it was really cool. So they go through Camertage, and everybody all of our heroes essentially get their ass whipped. The Darkhold is destroyed, which is interesting. But clearly the Darkhold, even if it's destroyed, still can have its grasp on you. Like the power of the Darkhold's not dead. But we also find out that there is another Darkhold, which we find out later, that keeps Wanda in tuned with her darkness and stuff like that. And another thing about Wanda that I did notice, which was really cool, Wanda in Multiverse of Madness is on the same path, is almost the exact same storyline as Agatha Harkness in WandaVision. She's doing exactly the same thing, but she's also getting the darkness above her eyes like Agatha. Mm-hmm. She's getting the dark fingers like Agatha. Mm-hmm. She's just kind of just repeating the sins of Agatha, and it makes me think, who is Agatha at this point? Was she actually maybe kind of good, just maybe too ambitious, and she got tainted? So it makes me
find out in House of Harkness.
Yeah, it kind of gets me excited about the idea of learning more about Agatha, because maybe she wasn't.
We're going to explore a lot into this witchcraft and sorcery and the Darkhold, obviously.
I love this area of the MCU, man. It's just really fun. It's really cool.
And of course, and they brought that up, like the Black Panther afterworld, the soul world with the gems and everything, the Field of Reeds and Moon Knight, and all the, obviously the multiverse and kind of like the magic realms that all these witches are coming from. But I did want to bring up when they ended up losing their first director, and they're like, oh man, we got this book about this like crazy witch who has this evil book. Who should we bring in?
Maybe a guy who's done a movie about a evil book. Yeah.
So I just love. I was thought about how I went through the movie, like right at that point, when they're like really coveting the Darkhold. I'm like, yep, it's the Necronomicon.
Yep. So good guys get their asses kicked, and of course our MacGuffin of the movie, America Chavez, is scared enough to open up a portal. Strange and America get shot through. They tumble through
stars, cookie cutter.
They like tumble through like multiple different multiverses,
awesome
which
scene.
Was really cool. Yeah,
I love that scene.
It was pretty neat.
Just like the other Doctor Strange. When he goes through the outer body experience, when the Ancient One, puts him out there. This was just as cool. Just going through the different multiverses, going from you see all these different varieties of the world. They even had what I thought was possibly the Savage Lands. And then of course they go to the cartoon spectrum. They go to the paint spectrum, which they reference later on. They're like, did we go through a paint universe? And she's like, yeah. And it's really hard to eat there.
Yeah.
That was really cool though. I love the scene. I love just the visuals of it. It was great. It was that typical and what you should expect of Doctor Strange and Steve Ditko. That was that kookiness from the 70s back in the day that just made it such a visually stunning comic book and kind of out of the realm from everything else you've seen.
Yeah, and we end up with America and Doctor Strange in like a more futuristic, cleaner looking New York, which was interesting.
Yeah,
and also
on the roofs by the side of buildings, man, it was really nice, not graffitied up and everything.
Yep. And also at the same time, Wong and Wanda kidnaps Wong and takes her to because Wong is in possession of the knowledge of the next Darkhold, which ends up being a temple or a shrine that actually has the writings of the Darkhold all on the walls and everything like that.
This was Earth 383, I believe.
Well, no, this is in 616.
Oh, that's 616.
This is in 616, but Strange and America go to 838. They go to Earth 838,
and it's kind of like somebody put a shield around the world.
It's almost like that.
It was, right?
It's almost like that. Because we do find ourselves crossing paths with the Sorcerer Supreme of this world, which is our good buddy Eric Mordo. Or was it Eric or something like that? Was his real name? So we meet Mordo again, but clearly this is a different Mordo, but this Mordo is still quick to kind of pull the wool over your eyes and poison you with some tea and take you to the Illuminati, where we get our first really big, or our main big group of cameos. And I gotta tell you, we had an audience that was pretty quiet. We didn't have a very rowdy audience, like I usually like to have for opening day. But if there was
we were the same too. We did not have a loud audience. There's a couple, there's a couple people in there who were very vocal, but our audience was the same too. It was me and like maybe 15 other people who were making noise.
When these cameos popped up, and we get John Krasinski as Reed Richards, so many people just blew up. I gotta say, I did not expect that. Clearly, John
One of the
Krasinski.
things I did not expect. Obviously, been talked about for years, right? This has been a rumor thing for a very
It's
long
one of the
time.
biggest fan castings in
Mhm.
the history of the MCU. We'll call it what it is, and to get that is something that I thought was really really surprising, and I thought it was
It
a
was
highlight
awesome.
of the movie, and it's something that ended up kind of a lot of people criticize this in movies, especially in the MCU, criticize something like this as just easy fan service.
Mhm.
And I can see where something like this can be considered that, but he played the role so well, and he sold the role of Reed Richards so well
Yes.
that I believed it. That I believed it so much that I felt that as this film is going more and more and more and more and more, and it's so quick, like he's dead maybe 15 minutes by the time we see him. And I feel like we needed more time with him and these other cameos because the other
Oh yeah.
cameos
I mean, that's it
are
was just it
also
was
great.
cameos.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. So the other cameos we get Peggy Carter as
Oh yeah, as Captain
as
Britain was
Captain.
awesome. We get
Um,
Proton's mom, the original friend of Captain Marvel in the first Captain, or in the only Captain Marvel movie at the moment.
right.
And of course, her daughter is,
It's Maria Rambeau
yeah,
from Captain
Maria Rambeau.
Marvel.
Yeah,
She is
and her
Captain
mom,
Marvel. Yeah.
and she is Captain Marvel. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that
I
was
did not
great.
expect that. I thought that was cool as hell.
That was great to have her come back. So we have Black Bolt, who
Black Bolt
is a part
from the Inhuman series.
the
That was
terrible, the really
what?
shitty. One of the worst Marvel Studios things was that Inhuman show. But for them to bring back the Black Bolt from that show, bold move.
Yeah, and they gave him a little bit
Bold
more
move.
common accurate look. They had the little freaking, tuning fork on his head
Yeah.
and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but it was really cool. Like the dude looked awesome,
He
and
looked
the way
great.
he went out was so cool.
Yeah,
You know, how's he gonna talk to me if he doesn't have a mouth?
it was brutal. It was brutal. It was brutal. I and then who else did we get? Of course, Professor X in
Oh man,
his
coming out in the
in the
'90s
Jim
yellow.
the Jim Lee comic accurate
Oh man,
yellow wheelchair, and then he had the green suit just like in the comic. I mean, in the cartoon, which was really cool.
it was
It
great.
even when he's like slowly drifting through, you get the na-na-na-na-na-na. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, you
"What?
heard it. That was
Get
good.
out
That's
of
what
here,
I went off
Danny,
when I heard that. That was
Danny
one of the best parts
Elfman."
about it.
So
That was great.
he was great. I mean, he. What can you say? Like, if you say that Patrick Stewart is in this movie as Professor X, you know exactly what you're getting, and you know it's going to be great because he has
And yeah,
never
he did.
he's never done that role wrong, never
And then
once.
even when he went into Wanda's mind and was, trying to go through and help out the other Wanda who's being puppeted, it was just so that was that '90s era Professor X that you saw a lot, right? He's in the mines, he's trying to help somebody, stuff like that, and you saw that red mist coming up
Oh,
behind him.
it
And
was
Sam
brutal.
Raimi that shit real quick.
The probably the
It was
scariest
awesome.
probably the scariest moment of the entire of the movie was
And
the
then
death.
dropped him. I mean, once again, we just saw Wanda wipe out a shitload of people. She did it at Carmitage. She just wiped out the Illuminati, and here she is chasing American
She
Chavez.
she doesn't lose a fight in this movie, right?
No,
She doesn't really like
no,
America gets a shot in that brings her to like
yeah, but
that
that
brings
was
her to Tommy and Billy, but like she doesn't really lose a fight. And another thing that I like, I criticize the breakneck pace, but there is a comparison with this movie that it kind of harkens me back to one of my all-time favorite. And I know it's one of your all-time favorite action movies of all time. How much of the chase of Wanda going after Strange in America, how much of that reminds you of the T-1000 going after
just going after
Arnold
John
and
Connor.
Edward? Yeah. Doesn't it kind of feel like that? Like for like a large portion
Yeah,
of
she
this
was
movie,
unstoppable.
they're just
Unstoppable.
you're constantly being hunted and hunted and hunted throughout 2.5 hours. And it really felt Terminator-esque to me. That there was a point where they're like running through the hallways of the Illuminati's base, and like she's just like breezing
Yeah, they're
through
going
these
through all the
airlock
tunnels and
doors and
everything
stuff.
like that.
Yeah, and she
Destroying them,
is
ripping
just
them apart.
and she's just a machine, and she's unstoppable.
Good
And
analogy with the T-1000.
I was
like
sitting
that.
here, I was like, man, it's so Terminator. It's such a Terminator scene. And I loved it. I loved every second of that. So,
Once again, showing how powerful the Scarlet Witch is.
I love it. I love it. She's probably too powerful for the good of like just movies in general, because like it's getting to a point where like we saw that she almost until he rained fire, she could have disintegrated Thanos. Yeah, she could have disintegrated Thanos. See her power level here, like she's almost
sparked her to get this power hungry and to build
right.
this strength was
So
that she was still new to everything.
yeah, I hope she doesn't get, and she may be at this point already, to where like she's so powerful that she's kind of like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a problem in the MCU. Just call Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like she'll stop
Wanda.
it.
What up,
Just
B?
call Wanda. She's done. Movie over. We're done. So I
Everyone's like, nah, you know what? Don't call Wanda.
yeah,
Call Wanda.
let us not call Wanda. She's working on herself right now. So yeah, that was just a really good scene. Like the slaughtering of Captain Carter, Black Bolt. That Black Bolt death scene was just brutal, man.
Captain Carter getting the shield put through her, that was pretty amazing.
That was pretty brutal. So like it's clearly not the Captain Carter from What If. This is going to be a completely different one and everything, but
still, to bring that aspect in, showing us What If, kind of giving those things, even seeing. Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
And What If has its place in the MCU. Clearly, it does. But like, What If was almost preparing us. It was almost preparing us for this scene.
We thought it was just fun and games.
Yeah, but no,
it was just fun and games.
That carnage you saw in What If, we're gonna get it in the live action MCU, and Sam Raimi just delivered it, man. It was.
'Cause what else did we get from What If besides Captain Carter? We got some zombie action that comes in later on in the movie. We get Strange's like most evil form. I forget what it's called.
I know what you mean. Like evil Strange. Right now. Do you think that? I don't think that was the same one, right?
Well, not the same one, but a version of. It is a version of.
A version of. Yeah, I'm with you there. Strange
Supreme. That's what it's supposed to.
Yeah. So, where are we at in the story? So yeah, they escape.
Well, American Chavez went through the tunnels. She's T-1000 shit. She's knocking everybody out. Illuminati's gone.
Yeah. So we meet the other. And we also met the other Christine, who also helps Strange in here. She actually ends up having a pretty big role.
Bigger role than what was needed in this movie, in my opinion.
She was there to kind of.
Yeah, we know the story. We saw What If. That's the thing that drives Strange. That are you happy moment. You let her go. You did not pursue what you wanted. You guys had a connection. You had love. What if?
Yeah, and let's focus on Doctor Strange for a little bit too, because we haven't been really focusing on him. So like Strange's.
Oh yeah, the Doctor Strange movie.
Strange's his arc. There was a couple of things. There was one question and then one glaring criticism about him that kind of carried his character throughout this movie. And the one question, of course, we hear it a few times: are you happy? And it's him kind of realizing like what can make me happy. He made a joke. I saved the world. Isn't that enough? Well, apparently it's not. But the glaring criticism that he gets throughout this movie, throughout the series for himself, is that he has to be the one in charge. He has to be the one holding the scalpel. And what I like about his meetings and his encounters with all these other Stranges is because what happens is he learns about himself.
Yes.
And what's wrong with him.
Ways he could have been.
Mm-hmm. And he learns that I'm just like these guys, but these guys have just these other Strangers have just taken it that next step. Mm-hmm. And what's going to
mention that you're just like the other Strangers.
Right. Or you're about to become them. You're just like them enough to.
In the beginning, it was you're just like them.
Right.
And then even old girl, she says the same thing. You're just like the Strange that I knew.
You have to always you have to be the one holding the scalpel. You have to be the one in charge. And when he does that, he feels that he has to make every decision. And sometimes that decision is a very bleak one, and he doesn't need to be that person. He doesn't need to do that. You would think that he would learn that. Like, he just came off of Spider-Man No Way Home and seeing what a selfless act of one person or three people can do for people who are supposed to be just downright evil, right? And you would think that he would have learned from that a little bit. So I kind of, and they mention Spider-Man No Way Home for like 2 seconds, but it's almost like he'd learned nothing from that.
Right.
It was
He didn't
just
grow
weird.
like the teenager did because adults are pretty much set in their ways. They always think they're
Good
right.
point.
And I mean, he's smart. He's a surgeon. He ended up learning magic and becoming the Sorcerer Supreme faster than anybody ever. And then he's fought all these
Yeah.
crazy villains now. He fought Thanos. He's been with the No Way Home stuff. He's opened up and closed a multiversal tear. So yeah, the guy's kind of confident in his abilities and stuff like that because he's cocky. That's him. That's Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that they've made in this MCU.
Yep.
And in this story, we got to see him start reeling back, like you said, self-reflection. Hey, I don't have to bear the burden of the world. I can work and trust others and kind of build relationships. I can have a life.
Yeah.
But he never thought he could.
So yeah, so it was cool. Like his character development wasn't as strong as Wanda's in here, but he plays a close second in terms of development of his character. And to see him learn something after subtly learn something after every meeting with another Strange is pretty interesting. Or learning something by like what the Illuminati did to their version of Strange, which was kind of a cool storyline. And I wish
He
like
went too far and they had to
they had to check
he
them.
had to go.
Got to check them. But
Watch your mouth, boy.
I really wish we had more time with the Illuminati. I think it would have made their deaths be a little bit more
Oh yeah,
impactful.
of course.
Because they were just antagonistic to him. Like, nope, you suck. You're going to be locked up. You can't do anything. The last one was evil. You're probably
Well,
evil
except for
too.
Professor X. He was the one that was, Professor X and stuff.
Yeah,
He was.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But like, I feel like if we would have had like a moment where like Reed Richards, Doctor Strange have like a little bit of an understanding, a little bit of kinship is formed there for like just for a few minutes. I feel like that death would have hit harder. It would have hit a lot harder. So Strange, Christine, and America go to. They make it to like kind of like the nexus of all worlds. Find the Book of Ashanti, but it is quickly destroyed. And Strange's only option left is to find another Darkhold. He finds it from the evil Doctor Strange in a world that looks very similar to like the ink blotty world that is being milked away. But another thing that we also need to bring up is the fact that that world is being eaten away by way of what is called an incursion. And I feel if there is anything in this entire movie that is important more than any other topic,
Because we're
character,
now
or
going to
anything.
use this word a lot
The
in the MCU.
the incursions are leading us into Secret Wars. It's leading us more into Kang stuff. This is going to be the most important. Like, you're going to hear more about incursions than you're going to hear more about the multiverse in general. The incursions are huge moments in the storylines. It's the crux of Secret Wars. I cannot wait to see where they go, but this is the turning point for Phase 4 of the MCU, or just the MCU as a whole. And if you're not familiar with what incursions are, it's essentially when, if you've seen Loki, you see all these branching universes and everything like that. But at some point, these universes start to cross, and planets and worlds can cross at the exact same time where they hit and they collide, and destroying both, destroying one, them absorbing each other. Bad things happen, people die, and we have to avoid this. And that is going to be the core of the MCU going forward. I cannot wait to learn more about the incursions. Because the next big in-game event is going to be Secret Wars. It's going to be a massive, massive event. And this, if there's one thing that's the most important to take away from this, is that incursions are what's next.
Incursions. Can you say it with me, kids?
Incursions. So they.
And here comes the music scene, right? It's the evil Strange. You got the good Strange. They're sitting there discussing the Darkhold, and he's like, "Hey, man, I really need that book." And he's like, "I've done and torn apart everything in my life with this book. Okay, you cannot have it." And he's like, "Nah, I really need it, bro."
I really
Ain't
need that
gonna
book.
happen.
I need that
And
hardback. I
then
need that
the fight
hardback.
begins. Nice little wizard fight here. I ain't talking about your Harry Potter BS. I'm talking about some straight gangsters throwing music at each other.
So did you like it? I thought it was a little
I
too.
did. Once again, when
Okay.
it happened, I was like, Ditko Doctor Strange. That's what this is. This is that crazy absurdness that they would come up with, back in the 70s and everything,
I'm
where
with
they're
you.
literally taking the different notes,
Yeah.
using them as weapons and everything, and then he pulls up the music lines and kind of contains them
Hmm.
as a shield and everything, absorbing the music. I was like, okay, this is
Hmm.
really awesome. And then all the notes, do do do, and when they collided it all together and it started like coming as like a little
A big
symphony and then
crescendo. Yeah.
battling out, I was like, wow, that is fucking
I
awesome. That
will.
was so smart.
I will give you that the fact that the credit I will give that it is the most comic book shit that happens in the entire movie. Like you can almost picture like frame by frame just two wizards throwing music at each other. I can give that. Like it respects where the source material comes from. You
It's
know what I'm saying?
Doctor
Like it's
Strange.
super comic booky, if that's even a word. And
Amen.
yeah, it was pretty cool. But he takes out that Strange with extreme prejudice, impales him on a fence, gets the dark hold, and has to dreamwalk, which is what Wanda's been doing the entire time because the Wanda that
Up
destroyed.
tiering other people from universes and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Possessing them. The Wanda that killed the Illuminati was a really
Wanda from
nice
that verse
Wanda that had the kids that
had the kids.
yeah that was living her best life, living her happiest life, and then got possessed and had to go do some light murdering and
I wouldn't call it light. That was pretty heavy murdering.
moderate murdering, and that alliterates a lot better too. So we'll call it that. There was a really interesting conversation around this point in the movie where it's asked of Wanda, you're doing this to find your kids and to take care of your kids. But when you find your kids, you're also going to find a Wanda there. What happens to that Wanda? What happens to those kids' mother?
Yeah, what happens to their mother? Yep.
And her response is something along the lines of, oh, they'll never know. What? Like, that's probably probably the most brutal thing she says in the entire movie right there. They'll never know. Like what?
Like I said,
Like really?
whack-a-do.
Who man? Like she is just so good in this movie. Almost to the point where this version of Wanda, like the dark hold tainted
Broken
Wanda,
completely.
may be like top 3, top 4 villains in the MCU. Maybe. Like I don't think she tops Thanos for me. No, she definitely doesn't top Thanos for me. But in terms of like ranking villains, she's up easy top 5.
Oh yeah.
Easy top 5, but maybe top 3. She is up. She's up there with Killmonger. She's up there with Thanos. She's up there with just all the hits, man. She is really good and one of my favorite
Playing all your
villains.
favorites.
Yeah. So yeah, but she's dreamwalking with the nice Wanda to do all this murder and mayhem, but Doctor Strange feels like he has no choice but to use the dark hold and do the same thing and dreamwalk, but they're like, "Hey, well,
I have
you
to
don't
use the bad thing to
you
do the
don't
good thing.
you don't necessarily have you're the Doctor Strange in that world, so there's no Doctor Strange to dreamwalk into." Oh, yes there is.
What?
Enter the first Doctor Strange that died in the beginning, who was buried in Earth 616. He gets reincarnated.
And this is once again Raimi'd up. It was so awesome. The hand shooting up and everything.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Zombie Strange was a delight. For the most part, I have some gripes. Was for the most part a delight to experience his animation, his motions. The cinematography in this movie is some of the best in all the MCU. And at this moment, just the panning and swirling of the camera around Strange's face, Strange looking all around, like head cocking, and all of a sudden, like for a split second, looking into the camera, like just really creepy, really well done, well
Sam Raimi.
shot. It's really good stuff there. And it's classic Raimi. It really is
yeah, it
classic
was Evil
Raimi.
Dead.
So this Strange faces off against Wanda, holds off against Wanda as best as he can. But again, Wanda does not lose a fight in this movie.
Doesn't.
pretty much burns half of his body, like disintegrates half of his body, just enough to where he can inspire America.
America.
Which my
And
gripe
America
was,
was
which my gripe was having the camera sitting on Zombie Strange's face for like 30 seconds as he delivers this uplifting, hey, you say you don't know how to use your powers, but you do know how to use your powers because every time you sent us somewhere, you brought us to the right place, so you can do
right
this.
to where we needed to be.
And so on one side, this is a big moment for America. It's also a big moment for Strange because it is the moment where he decided that he does not need to hold the scalpel. Other people can do it for him, or he can do it with them.
The problem that lies here is they didn't develop and flesh it out enough that it actually meant something.
I agree. They came
It's
close.
just like, oh, cool. This is all gravy now? Okay.
They came close. They came close to it, to like really pulling it together. But it was just missing again. Those little character development moments, maybe like cut a little bit, make it a 2 hour and 45-minute movie and add some of those extra scenes, slow it down a little bit and let us get that development. This movie could have been,
maybe we'll get that Raimi cut.
this movie could have been like a 9 or 10. I bet there's a lot on the cutting room floor in this movie. I can't imagine what is not in this movie. So that allows America to understand her power, understand how to use it.
Believe in herself.
She does her patented move and then kind of gets a little bit of an upper hand on Wanda, pushes her through into the universe of the good Wanda that we're used to, and holy smokes, she sees her kids, and for the first time in the history of these kids, they are deathly afraid
of her.
of the 616 Wanda, and it destroys her. And again, how many times do I have to say it? Elizabeth Olsen, holy shit, her performance here.
Delivers.
Man, she was destroyed at the fact. Like, she's tainted. She's forever bonded by the Darkhold. From here on out, like, she'll never get rid of the Darkhold within her, I think. I truly believe that. But her kids got to her through all of that and allowed her to change her mind, which was a huge moment for her. And having her kids save her by showing the error of her ways, I think was really, really strong. And then the grace in the Wanda that was used, the grace of her to just like have nothing but empathy for the evil Wanda.
They will be taken care of.
They will be taken care of. Just a huge, huge moment for both Wandas. I loved it. Every part of that scene worked for me, man. That was super.
It was beautiful. It was like I said, it was heart wrenching to see her have to face that her children were afraid of her. The thing that she's been fighting for won't even come near her. They're actually fighting her. They're throwing their toys. They're throwing stuff around them at her.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, on the flip side of that, the 383 Wanda gets up and she sees this. She sees what's happening. And she kind of, I guess, maybe understands why she was trying to do it. And then, like I said, she delivered those lines, they will be cared for. And it's just like, yeah, Elizabeth Olsen, I don't know. She needs an Oscar maybe for an MCU movie.
Yeah,
but
she
she
was
did
great.
a great performance. She did in WandaVision. She did it here in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. And then, right after that, she comes back into where they were. And, of course, they're in her, her sanctuary that was built for her, and we kind of glazed over this, didn't even really talk about it, but it's the hard copy of the Darkhold, right?
And it's
all written on the
connected,
walls,
and
the
it's
Darkhold is just transcribed,
and it's connected,
to her.
and it's also that shrine is also connected to every Darkhold. Every universe has a Darkhold, and this shrine is the one place that's connected to all of them. So it's almost like
tears that mother down.
It's like a sire vampire. You kill the sire, and the rest of the vampires fall. Same deal here. Like, all the Darkholds in existence start to wither away and die.
And if that's the case, what is the aftermath of that? I think that's probably where maybe House of Harkness and stuff is going to have some storyline in it, or we'll see. We don't know, obviously, but there's a lot to be said. But yeah, destroying the Darkhold in every universe, and it's been obviously being used by somebody, because we had a Doctor Strange using it, Wanda using it, we had, Agatha had it originally for Agatha. So who knows?
Who knows?
This was very intense. She brought it down. She's the only person that can beat you is you, and Wanda proved that.
That's almost I love that phrase that you just said, because you can say that for every character. Every character, their problems were of their own problem, like
Yeah,
their own
America didn't
cause.
believe in herself because she thought she killed her moms.
Strange couldn't
Um,
shake his need to be the one in charge,
mhm.
to be the one running things. The Illuminati was full of hubris. They thought that they will handle one, and
Oh yeah.
did, did. So like, yeah, everybody was kind of like a victim of their own personalities, their own beliefs and self-esteem and doubts, and interesting.
And then the movie ends very quickly.
Very, very quickly. And we also see that poor Doctor Strange is still held by the Darkhold. So it proves that even though all the Darkholds are destroyed, the Darkhold still has a hold
Has
of
a
you.
hold,
A hold.
a dark hold
A
of
dark
you.
hold upon you.
Of you.
Yeah, so he has his third eye, like the evil Strange had, and the movie just kind of cuts. Very Sam Raimi. Again, very, very Drag Me to Hell.
And over.
Carnage, carnage, carnage. Credits. So I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the ending. And then
And
we
we get
get,
our first mid-credit scene. Yep.
yeah, mid-credit scene. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I did not know who this person was until I looked
Charlize
it up.
Theron.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, Charlize Theron.
She's an Oscar-winning actress.
Oh, that's who it is. Well,
Actually, yeah. Well, when
I'm
I
a
saw her,
monster for not realizing that.
I was talking to Lauren. I'm not sure because I can't remember her name. I remember it was a brief in my mind. She's a very brief character. I remember like in a couple comics that I read, Doctor Strange had a wife, and that's what she kind of looked like because she had like the purple under her
Yeah,
eyes and
purple's
everything. She
her
had the
thing.
purple
Yeah,
light
yeah.
going on, and I was like, man, it's like I'm not sure if that's her or not. I was like, I can't really remember the character. I think her name was like Shay.
Clea.
Okay,
Clea.
whatever. There was
Yeah.
vowels and consonants in it. I had that right.
Yeah. It was a
But
word.
yeah, yeah, it
It
was
was
a
a word.
word.
I can see how you made that mistake.
Yeah, Clea. She pops up and she's like, "Hey, my shit's all messed up now, and you're gonna come help me."
Yeah, there's an incursion and you're gonna help fix it. And then
Incursion.
she opens up a portal, and of course the portal of to her realm is the dark dimension that we have seen firsthand from the
Dormammu,
first.
I'm here to
Yeah.
bargain.
And she's actually the niece of Dormammu, Clea. So this is not just the future love interest and wife and even possible somewhat like, because she's a very neutral character. They've been enemies, they've been lovers, they've been
Yeah,
married.
like most comic book, like
It's true to
wedding
life.
spouses and stuff like that.
It's true to life. It's true to life. Yeah, for sure.
Good guy, bad guy, little protagonist, little antagonist.
And then we
Enemies
get
become friends,
the
friends
post credit
become enemies.
scene. The post credit scene is one of the best homages from one director to his
Main.
homage from a director to about his his past work, where Bruce Campbell, who we did skip
Yes, the
over,
joke that we did skip over
we
this.
did
I wanted to
skip
bring it up. I
over.
was actually glad we did because it comes right here to the end with the
So
last scene credit
he's an
of
annoying
Bruce
character.
Campbell,
He's an annoying. Bruce Campbell plays an annoying
Pizza Papa,
pizza papa. He's a street merchant for he just sells pizza balls.
on pizza balls.
And Doctor Strange ends up possessing his hand for
Little
a couple
throwback
weeks. Nice little throwback to Ash and Evil Dead 2. And whereas Ash had to cut off his hand to stop his hand, Pizza Papa just took it for a couple of weeks, and then the
Just getting
post
his
credit
ass
scene.
kicked.
The post credit scene is his hands finally stopping punching his face, and he turns to the camera and screams happily, "It's over." What a great little homage. I think,
And of course, just Bruce Campbell being in it too was excellent. You know, because Sam Raimi, them as college students, created the first Evil Dead like in 1978, and of course, and they made Evil Dead 2, which is just a remake of their
remake of it, yeah.
college project. And so yeah, it was great to see Bruce Campbell, and then of course he was in all the
Yeah.
original Spider-Man movies from the 2000s.
always in a cameo, always in a
yeah,
cameo
so it was-
role. Yeah.
It was really great to
He-
see him in there, and love Bruce Campbell. I mean, obviously, you
Yeah,
know.
Bruce Campbell's fun. He's playing Ash to this day, and he's doing a really good job with the television show. I think I
Ash
loved
vs. Evil Dead.
I loved the decision to make the final end credit scene when people are just chomping at the bit for more MCU links and stuff like that, to just put a joke scene in there that truly only 75, maybe 80% of the audience is going to get, maybe less. Maybe less. That was a very on the nose niche cult callback to
Yeah, Laura looked at me weird. She's like, "What?"
Melissa had no clue. She had no clue. So only the true believers really know that. But ladies and
Here's to
gentlemen,
you, true believers. Excelsior.
so I
That's the Stanley Trophy.
that's it. That's Doctor Strange 2, man.
That's Doctor Strange in a nutshell. You don't have to go see it now. We
You don't
just
have to see it.
broke it down for you.
Yeah, you didn't
Just
listen
wait for
to
it to come
us.
out on streaming.
You didn't listen to us. We basically just we painted a picture for you with words, not music, but with words. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you like the show. We hope you like the review. Tell us what you think about. Tell us what you think about Doctor Strange and a Multiverse of Madness in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And you know what? Take care. We're gonna do more. We got a little Moon Knight coming up. We watched the finale to that.
Just finished on Cinco de Quattro.
Cinco de Quattro. So we are going to do a little Moon Knight too. So if you're watching this, there's most likely going to be a Moon Knight video up. If not, it's going to be up shortly. So guys, thank you very much. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe and take care.
Glad to be back.